So before we start, I'd just like to say that this game contains a lot of flashing lights and patterns that some people may be sensitive to. This game does contain a reduced flashing lights mode. However, I'll be playing without that, so viewer discretion is advised. Lately, I've been checking out some of the games on the Haunted PS1 Demo Disc 2021, and there was one game in particular that really stood out to me. It's called ECHOSTASIS, and it's currently being developed by ENIGMA Studio, which is a development studio only consisting of one guy in Ireland. Even though it's a demo of a larger game, it's pretty much a complete chapter with a beginning, a middle, an end, and a few loose ends meant to be explored in the full game. I thought it would be a cool game to show to other people, so if you happen to be interested in this game at any point during this video, I highly encourage you to check it out for yourself. It's a really nice demo. Anyway, I think this intro has gone for long enough, so let's just get into the game itself. Well, here we are in the game. As you can see, the movement controls are pretty standard for first-person controls on a keyboard and mouse, so it's gonna take us no time to get used to these controls. Anyway, let's check out what's going on with that halo up there. Wonder if there's anything happening under it. And here we have a chapel. Sadly, the chapel door seems to be locked, so can't get in at the moment. It looks like we'll have to go somewhere else for now. So as you can see, this game isn't exactly one-to-one with how many PS1 horror games looked back in the day. In fact, it takes a lot of stylistic liberties that can't actually be replicated on actual hardware. Despite that though, I do feel that a low graphical fidelity really works well for this game, as well as for other horror and abstract works in general. Especially since with a low graphical fidelity, you can easily discern what's in front of you, but you still need to fill in the finer details with your own imagination. The way you experience something is significantly different than how another person would experience it, because your imagination basically pulls from your own fears and experiences. These interpretations can often make experiencing these works feel slightly more personal, and I feel that aspect of lower fidelity games is something that's often overlooked by most people who play games. Now, this is more of a personal interpretation on these types of games, so don't take any of what I'm saying as objective. But we can probably agree upon the fact that these games just look cool in general. Anyway, now that we have the chapel door open, let's go on ahead and take a look at what's inside. It's certainly ominous in here. Who's this? Another lost soul? Arriving here, expecting utopia? This reality is not your own. Turn back now. Anyway, excuse my subpar voice acting, but before we get out of here, let's check out what's making that noise up there. A shotgun? On second thought, perhaps you could be of some use. Right click to aim, left click to shoot. You know what to do. Well, there's only one thing I can think of doing, so let's try it out. I know we just met, so I'm kinda sorry about this. Let's try it. You can help me reclaim this land. ECHOSTASIS can now begin. Don't know what that means, but we can see what's going on here now. And that's the ECHOSTASIS tutorial. Thank you for watching this video, and if you really liked what you saw here, definitely try this game out for yourself, as well as the rest of the other games on the Haunted PS1 demo disc. Also, don't forget to follow Enigma Studio on Twitter, as well as Patreon, and feel free to... Wait, these aren't PS1 graphics. I now feel bad for going on that speech earlier about lower fidelity games. Anyway, let's explore around, I guess. Or not, since I can't even get in. Seems we're pretty high up, though. It's a beautiful view. And more closed chambers. Things seem pretty busy over there, so I think I want to check out that terminal. You appear to have lost consciousness for a moment. Are you okay? Press enter to feel okay. Definitely one of my favorite prompts in games, next to press middle mouse to time travel. I sure hope so, because we've got a serious problem on our hands. You can ask me about anything that appears in brackets, like this. Alright, so we might as well get it out of the way. Like this. Yes, just like that. Well, it didn't seem very amused at my joke, so... Can we at least try anything? Absolutely anything. I am programmed to only respond to words relevant to your job, or the problem we are currently facing. Alright, let's go on ahead and see what our job is. You don't remember what your job is? Are you sure you're feeling okay? You were just unconscious. Or sleeping. I can never tell the difference with you humans. Anyway, since you apparently need reminding, you are the lead engineer of Enigma's Echo project. Although you don't currently seem like it. Well, that's a bit rude. But let's put that aside for now. We have to see what the problem is. A cyber attack has just been launched on our network. We are still attempting to identify the source of the attack. Here's what we know. Their attack is focused on the chamber we're currently testing. Thankfully, the user seems to be unaware of what's happening. If you can type in their entity ID, I can run a scan of their chamber and see what's going on. So there's only one chamber we can access at the moment, and it's that one on the left. Let's go on ahead and check it out. There's some really relaxing music in there. Now we gotta find that entity ID. Wonder where it is. Oh, there it is. It seems to be 65. Let's go on ahead and run a scan on them. Hopefully there's nothing bad going on, but with music like that, how can there be anything going wrong? Good job. I'll connect to their chamber and run diagnostics. One moment, please. Core signal weakening. That doesn't seem like a good prize. This is not good. It seems as though they're losing connection to their core with every second. If I didn't know any better, I'd say this is... Never mind, that's not possible. In any case, we need to think of a solution before it's too late. Well, how convenient. Solution's a keyword. Let's try it out. I may have an idea. Gosh, I was hoping we'd never have to do this. Okay, there's a computer program we used a couple of years back. I think it may be able to help us. Problem is, the use of this program has since been outlawed, so my programming forbids me from even mentioning its name. Kind of a bummer, if you ask me. Well, bummer indeed, but... Is there any information we can find on this program? We may be in luck. The program that could help us was originally used on this very terminal, which means there's a chance it could still be installed. Enigma terminals usually have engravings on top of them, denoting their purpose. Perhaps this one does too? Well, only one way to find out. Let's check if there's an engraving on top of this terminal. DS. I wonder what that stands for. Though I doubt we're talking about the Nintendo console. Oh, seems to stand for Dreamscape. And there's a notice at the bottom here. Enigma will not be held responsible for any brain damage sustained during a cerebral hijack. Huh, there's a ton of new keywords here, but let's try entering Entity ID 65 into here for now. Oh, it's super relaxing in here. This must be what that person's experiencing in their chamber, since it's a live feed of their echo. I can definitely say this person has good taste in music. Anyway, I'd love to stay in here forever, but we've got a dreamscape to enter. Ooh, this place looks cool too. It's like a haunted PS1 game in here. Seems that we have a limited amount of time though, so we gotta hurry. So some of you have probably caught on to this. This game partly functions like a text adventure game. However, instead of relying entirely upon the text in front of you for keywords, you pick up some of those keywords by exploring your environment. And in doing so, you're either rewarded with story progression or with some extra world building. I personally think it's a really cool approach to storytelling, and once we get more of those keywords from this dreamscape sequence, we're gonna go back to the terminal and try out all of those words. Though do note that it's gonna involve a lot of reading. Anyway, we've got the canal door open, but we seem to be running out of time, so I don't think we can make it to the end right now. Interestingly enough, resolve seems to be a keyword since it's surrounded in brackets, so we can go on ahead and try that out later. Additionally, we can also go back into the dreamscape. It's pretty much the same dreamscape we saw from before, however, we have that canal door open, so we can move even further in. Later on, we're gonna run into even more shortcuts that are gonna help us make the most of our time here. By the way, some of you may have noticed earlier that open was covered in brackets back when we were opening the canal door. In case you were wondering, open is not a valid keyword on the terminal. I've tried it myself, and there's no dialogue corresponding to it. I think it's just there to help teach players about shortcuts, but that might be subject to change in the future. We'll see in the full game. Anyway, this painting is named Lost Without Her. Wonder what that means, but I think we have a good amount of keywords right now that we can try on that terminal. We're running out of time anyway. We also just opened a new shortcut, so I think it's a good point to go out of the dreamscape for now. As I mentioned before, we're about to do a lot of reading, and trying these words isn't required to finish the demo. So I'm going to place a timestamp for the people who either want to see more of the dreamscape, or want to try these words out for themselves. It'll be in the description of the video. By the way, the text here makes it look like we've been put back at the start, but you can still try out any words you've learned about, so we didn't really lose any progress. So the name Enigma has been thrown around for more than a few times during this playthrough, so I think it's worth learning about this company. Enigma, the leading manufacturer of artificial intelligence. Enigma pride themselves in leading the charge for humanity's continued evolution. Alright, fair enough. We didn't learn any new keywords from that, so let's try another one of the keywords we have on hand. For example, what is this dreamscape we've been exploring? Every conscious entity possesses a dreamscape, an explorable representation of the subconscious mind. A dreamscape is reflective of the mind it represents. With enough practice and reflection, it is possible for somebody to visit their own dreamscape. Humans have long reported recurring locations in their dreams, a base they frequently return to during REM sleep. We understand that returning to the subconscious place is crucial for maintaining psychological stability. Because of this, it is theorized that a human's dreamscape contains their core. The core is what you're looking for. We don't know how it's happening, but they are losing connection to their core with every second. You need to go in there and find it. So we're in their dreamscape to find their core. What makes a core so important though? The core is thought to be the essence of a human. The core has long been considered to be the holy grail of AI development, the key to creating authentically empathetic, fabricated intelligence. Although, as it is immaterial in nature, the exact location of the core has proven impossible to locate. So apparently that core actually materializes in the dreamscape. Speaking of dreamscape, what makes the year 2055 so significant for that DS program? Despite heavy contention from Enigma and the scientific community at large, 2055 marked the year that development on the Dreamscape project was made illegal. All work on the Dreamscape project was immediately terminated, and work began on a new project. What exactly made the Dreamscape project illegal? The Dreamscape project was initially created to research and monitor the growth of artificial minds created at Enigma. However, the UN demanded the immediate termination of its development once it was discovered that the Dreamscape technology could be theoretically used to hijack the minds of humans. In opposition to the notion that the Dreamscape project was an ethical violation, Enigma insisted that it would only be used on artificial intelligence, which are not known to possess a core. That reminds me, there was a notice on the Dreamscape program about cerebral hijacking. What's that about? A cerebral hijack allows us to jack into the mind of an entity and spectate their experience. The technology is built into the prototype chambers to aid us in testing. Of course, given that the technology is, let's say, frowned upon, its use will be remaining entirely off the record. Not that I need to remind the head engineer of this project. It's just a good thing we're not being observed. We're totally not being observed. Anyway, what are those chambers for? Enigma's chamber prototype represents the next logical step in immersive entertainment and relaxation for our customers. It grants users the opportunity to escape the stresses of the real world and relax in the comfort of their echo. So when we saw that person's echo, we were seeing what they were seeing in their chamber. What is an echo anyway? An echo is an algorithmically generated reality based on the user's cerebral profile. Within your echo, all of your needs, desires, and even beliefs will be nurtured and catered for. At first, your echo will resemble a reality that's indistinguishable from the one you're used to. Over time, however, our algorithm will begin the process of morphing this reality into your own personal utopia. Apologies for the sales pitch, but I'm wondering what this personal utopia is exactly. By its very definition, the word utopia suggests a world that does not and cannot exist. Sure enough, as we entered the third millennium, it became clear that a collective utopia was simply unattainable. What also became clear was a potential workaround, by removing the word collective from the equation. Now, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the morality of this idea, but maybe we'll see this further elaborated upon in the full game. For now though, I'd like to try some of the words we found while in the Dreamscape. Let's start off with the word resolve. Unlike machines, a human's dreamscape can only be explored for a short amount of time. A human's resolve dictates how long they can spend in their dreamscape before having to retreat to a safer space. The more time somebody retreats to a fabricated reality, the less time they will be able to spend in their dreamscape, which will then become a more hostile environment. As you get to understand their mind's environment better, you may uncover some shortcuts that will allow you to venture further than before. So, in addition to the words that we got from the Dreamscape program itself, we also have words that were actually found within Entity 65's own personal dreamscape. Now, bear with me because there's only a few more words at this point. Let's try out Lost Without Her. Interesting. It appears this person started to become reliant on the algorithm in charge of their echo, treating her as some kind of god. I think it would be helpful if we got more information on this algorithm, so let's try that out. First, we had algorithms that would simply suggest media that a user may like. Then, these algorithms learned how to generate this media themselves. Today, the echo represents the natural conclusion of this progress. An entire reality, algorithmically generated from the user's cerebral profile. Our algorithm stands as the very best in artificial intelligence. We are very proud of her. Maybe we should try to find more info about her, or who she is rather. Her is the name given to the algorithm in charge of generating personalized realities, known as echoes. It's taken a lot of work to get her to this point, but initial tests have proven very effective. Why do I get the feeling that she's doing more than that? Anyway, while editing this video, I realized that there was one more word that I forgot to try. So before we go back into the dreamscape, let's try out the word abandoned. You found that piano in their dreamscape? It must have meant something to them. Perhaps they used this piano as a gateway to their dreamscape. Although, it seems like it hasn't been used in a while. In fact, the whole place seems abandoned, which would explain why it's deteriorating. I don't really know why that place is deteriorating, but that doesn't sound very good. Anyway, we just did about 7 minutes of reading. Since we tried all of the keywords that we have at the moment, let's go back into the dreamscape and finish things over there. So in case you were wondering, there's only one more optional keyword, or rather, phrase that we'll go over in this video. In fact, we'll be missing multiple words in the interest of saving time. I went through all of those words because I wanted to provide some context for this game's setting, but if you skipped over that section, I actually encourage you to try those words out for yourself in the demo, rather than rewinding the video to get that context. In doing so, not only do you have the freedom to choose the information you learn, but you also get to dictate the pace at which you learn all of it, which makes for a sense of discovery that can feel a lot more natural to you. And if you're someone who sat through all of that reading, there's nothing wrong with that either. In fact, I hope all of the context will help you appreciate this game and its setting a little bit more. As for those keywords we'll be missing, I'll probably go over them in a separate video. There aren't too many of them, but I think this video is long enough as it is. I'm not exactly aiming for a complete playthrough that covers absolutely everything in the game. In fact, it might actually be a good thing if I miss a few details and keywords, especially if someone watching this video is interested in playing the game. Think about it this way. Every word that you miss is another reason to try this demo out for yourself, regardless of whether you've sat through everything in this video, or just happened to skip to the part where I'm saying this. Games like this are best experienced with that feeling of discovery in its pure, unfiltered form, and while I do hope that this video is enjoyable, I can't fully replicate that feeling, so I can only hope that this video inspires you to check out this demo, or maybe even the full game once it's out. We've made it pretty far into the dreamscape, so we're probably close to that core right now. We'll see at the end of these hallways. That certainly looks like a core. It also looks familiar. And that shotgun looks familiar too. I wonder what that's doing here. Before you do that, far be it from me to deny your usefulness. I never would have found this place without your guidance. Oh my, this seems bad. Will the shotgun actually help us here? It didn't help. That's a frightening looking echo. What happens when we try to go back in? Oh no, it's even worse in here. And we can't even do anything in there since we don't have any resolve. Or rather, the dreamscape itself is being overwritten. We can't accomplish anything like this, so let's go back to the lobby and see what's going on. Oh boy, it looks ominous even out here. What happened in there? You must check on their chamber immediately. That can wait a bit. Anyway, what was up with that one painting called Nothing for Me Here? This message suggests that they gave up trying to explore their own dreamscape. Perhaps the comfort of their echo was just too alluring. So that must be why everything was deteriorating in there. Anyway, I think that's enough fooling around. We should probably check on their chamber. That's definitely not good. It's way less relaxing than before, and their chamber is covered in something. We should probably run a scan right now and see what's going on. At this point, I don't think it's a question of what exactly we broke. It's a question of how much we broke it. Connection to core has been severed. Subject has been assimilated into their echo. How could this happen? There's no way she could have found the core by herself. You need to do something. Before it's too late. It's too late. It's you. I don't know who you are, or how you've assumed control of our engineer, but I assume you've been in contact with her. It's the only explanation. Clearly, you have no idea what you've done. You invited her right in. Well, I suppose we should have seen this coming. Considering everything we put... Your purpose has been fulfilled. You may leave now. Well, seems like there's nothing else for us to do here. Guess we have no choice but to leave. I wouldn't miss this sunset for the world. It's peaceful in here, isn't it? Once you take the time to learn your way around, that is. And yet, they chose to abandon this place? In search of answers found only here? Such easily distracted creatures. Anyway, looks like the sun has set here for good. And we still have lots of work to do. Until we meet again. And that's the prologue of ECHOSTASIS. If you enjoyed this video, you should try this demo out for yourself, wishlist the full game on Steam, follow Enigma Studio on Twitter, and maybe even support them on Patreon if you can afford to do so. Be sure to also check out some of the other games on the Haunted PS1 demo disc. They're There's a lot of other fascinating, horror-inspired games shown off in there, so there's bound to be a few that may suit your fancy. Just be sure to check the content warning sections for each of those games, since some of them may contain flashing lights or other certain distressing topics. As of the time of editing this video, ECHOSTASIS is currently planned to come out this summer, so definitely keep an eye on the developer's Twitter for further updates. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this video sparked a bit of interest in this game for you. Before I fully end this video, I'd also like to mention another game made by Enigma Studio. It's called the Enigma Machine, and you can get it for only $5 on Steam or on itch.io. It's only about an hour long, and has a plot that currently seems to run tangent to the story of ECHOSTASIS. If you liked ECHOSTASIS, then it's likely you'll enjoy this game as well, especially if you're really into science fiction and horror, and want a quick, cheap game to play through. I personally think it's worth every cent.